Now, we've gotten to a very exciting part of the day. In a minute, we will be teeing up a video by Project Everyone. This film is a collaboration between Google.org and Project Everyone. It was produced last year for the AI event at the SDG Pavilion at the UN during UNGA. And it features a range of fantastic nonprofits that Google.org are supporting through their AI for the Goals challenge. So let's see if we can bring that video onto the main stage.
Every year, up to 30% of some Indian farmers' crops are destroyed by pests. With AI, they can get the advice they need to save them in a few seconds.
Now with AI, we can actually pinpoint which women out of the thousands to pick up so that our health workers can reach out to them and help them access the service better.
Pollution levels in Kampala are very high, and computer science has a role to play to create solutions.
Tracking biodiversity is crucial to support restoration. It used to take months to identify a single species. It now takes just seconds.
Using AI, we can integrate census data, poverty data, and disaster data so we can target the areas with the highest need.
We scan millions of pages every year. AI makes it all accessible, so human rights defenders can quickly find the information they need.
Goodness, that's very impressive. Giving us a real window into what AI can power behind the scenes that then actually empowers people who are at the heart of all these digital systems to do what they do best, whether it's lawyers or doctors or engineers, right? Now for a special treat, we are so grateful to Taryn Southern for permission to play her work. Taryn is a storyteller, an artist, a strategist, a speaker whose work really explores that intersection of emerging technology and human potential. Her work includes releasing the world's first AI-composed pop album. This is back in 2017. She was way ahead of things. Directing and producing also an award-winning documentary on brain-computer interfaces in 2019, again, ahead of her time, and producing an award-winning Google virtual reality series, and then becoming one of the earliest content creators to create an AI twin of herself in 2020, a little like we saw with Mark earlier, Dr. Mark. Taryn is currently an advisor to BlackRock Neurotech and speaks at conferences on the use of AI to actually unlock creativity. So I love that particular angle, AI and unlocking creativity and possibility. Taryn uploaded her first viral video to YouTube in 2007. 10 years and 750 million views later. I mean, that is a huge figure, right? Taryn produced more than 1,500 pieces of digital content. I mean, I feel like an underachiever hearing that. I Am AI is the title of the first album by a solo artist, composed and produced with artificial intelligence. And the songs explore the future of humans and machines, asking the questions, who are we? What will we become? And are we ready? Comprised of 8 tracks, the album's first single, Break Free, currently has more than 4 million streams, and it landed on the Media Base Indicator radio charts at number 48 in August of 2018. The song has garnered reviews and coverage from publications like Wired, Forbes, and Fast Company. So I'm now going to go quiet, and let's hope we can bring this masterful piece and song on.
wish I could see beyond what I can see. I wish I could touch beyond what I can touch. I wish I could feel beyond what isn't real. I wish I could imagine, yeah. There's more to who we are. There's more to what we could be. As I feel the weight of being, I'm learning how to break free. I'm breaking, I'm breaking free. I'm breaking down, breaking free. I wish I could smell beyond what I can smell. I wish I could taste beyond what I can taste. I wish I could sense beyond the present tense. I wish I could imagine, yeah. There's more to who we are. There's more to what we could be. As I feel the weight of being, I'm learning how to break free. I'm breaking, I'm breaking free. I'm breaking down, breaking free. I've tried to walk a mile in someone else's mind, but underneath a smile, we all feel quarantined. There's more to who we are. There's more to what we could be. As I feel the weight of being, I'm learning how to break free. I'm breaking, I'm breaking free. I'm breaking down, breaking free.
Wow. Gosh, I wonder if that was as catchy for you guys as it was for me. That was fantastic. And thank you to Taryn for allowing us to replay and use the song today. Right. I want to invite Dr. Marcia Balisciano, Chief Sustainability Officer for RELX Group, back to the stage for a quick but highly relevant conversation, a bit of a fireside chat, if you will, with Verizon senior partner Jason Plent.
Thank you, Shivi, and welcome, Jason. I want to do a quick introduction because you have such an impressive background. You're a partner for 5G acceleration with Verizon Business, and you're an experienced sales leader and general manager with an aptitude for creating diverse teams and fostering global perspectives. I know that you're responsible for catalyzing the adoption and commercialization of 5G across industries. And prior to Verizon, you were Vice President of Ads Tech in EMEA and Managing Director EMEA for Foghorn Systems, where you focused on edge technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning for a range of customers. You've got a Master's of Arts at the University of Aberdeen and a Master of Philosophy from the University of Stirling. And I know as well that you're an associate professor at London Business School and that you've been a founding investor and CEO of IoT Systems Group, which is a startup focused on the Internet of Things for capturing data across many business verticals accepted onto NatWest's accelerator program. So thank you and welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Marcia. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I wanted to find out a little bit more, and I actually have a quick question about what is 5G? How is it different from 3G and other Gs, for that matter?
Just before we begin, can I say how freaked out I was by the song? So I managed to catch the end of some of the discussions about the nature of AI, but some of those lyrics were unbelievable. So we had AI generated lyrics saying, "There's more to who we are. I'm breaking free. I walked a mile in someone else's mind." Fascinating lyrics if they were computer generated, and maybe we'll come back to that. But yes, more than happy to give you a pocket introduction to 5G. I mean, 5G, I'm sure everybody knows. I'm sure all of everybody tuning in is familiar with public 5G, at least on your personal devices, on your phone. I mean, it's the latest stage in cellular network transmission, at least at a public level. But I'm particularly interested, and I specialize in the deployment of private 5G. So what a lot of governments are doing internationally, starting with the US and Western Europe in particular, they're allowing parts of the spectrum, so the radio spectrum, to be used for private network deployments. So what you get is essentially a cellular network, but a very small version of that that's incredibly fast and incredibly powerful for your own location. So if you think of it as a sort of a mobile network that's capable of operating in a sort of 5-mile diameter, but with super high speed and super high capacity. And so what that means for industry, which is where most of the early deployments are, it's only a technology that's a few years old. It's really a tremendous leap forward in terms of what the networks are able to do, in terms of the capacity that can flow over them and the speed of data of analysis that can take place. Because I suppose the distance is constrained a little bit, the power is much more. And your next question, I'm going to predict it, is, so why is that important? Well, I guess it's important when you think of a nation having a mobile network, but if you think of commercial enterprises or even big public enterprises, stadia, hospitals, factories having their own secure private networks, it's to those networks that the devices, the robots, the autonomous vehicles, the autonomous drones, the machines will start to talk. When you're talking, I think, about artificial intelligence and gathering data, it's over these networks that the data will flow. And you can't really have artificial intelligence enhanced analysis unless you have the speed of communication of data that the AI needs. And so I think we're seeing a real leap forward in those terms. We've seen cellular networks before, but they've not been as powerful, and they've also not been as stable as the ones that we're seeing now. So a metaphor would be the language that AI is going to use, or the speed at which it talks, is going to be governed by these networks. And so that's a fascinating development. We saw kind of groundswell of different types of networks, LoRaWAN, Sigfox, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, but private cellular networks is in technological terms a big leap forward from those.
In terms of the Internet of Things and what you are doing with your current work with Verizon, how is that advancing connectivity? And as you said in your previous question, what are the implications of that for people in their working life, in their personal lives?
Well, I think it has big implications, and I think, again, if we distinguish between sort of commercial, industrial, and personal and private, I mean, if you start with commercial industrial, because that's where a lot of the data is coming from in terms of machine performance. Industry wants to know what its machines are doing, number one, right? So they want to collect data preferably on the edge in location. They want to understand the performance of those assets, because if those assets go wrong, then the commercial implications are large. You get shut down, you get cost, you get a loss of production, and that can be very, very expensive. So you're seeing a lot of organizations say, okay, what we need is reliable, secure transmission of that data at a very low resolution so that we can see second by second or even sub-second what's going on. And again, if you translate that into a human kind of metaphor, that's being able to see everything all the time. Historically, over the last few years, we haven't really been able to do that. And maybe we did it when it was unnecessary and we collected too much data. And too much data is almost as bad as too little data. You end up with a data lake that's full of information that you can't analyze. So one of the fascinating things about being able to see everything all the time at whatever resolution you want means for industry being able to keep an eye on all of their processes, all of their assets, and then use AI to predict failure. I heard some of the other speakers, I only caught the end of their sessions, unfortunately, but I heard them speak about analysis models are only as good as the data that goes in. So set up your enterprise so that you're collecting all of the data that you need on these new cellular networks, then you will see all the data that you need all the time. Not just that you need, but your analysis algorithms will need. So they will have data to better enable them to predict failure and problems. That's going to mean you can get to that machine and you can fix it before it goes wrong. That means you save that production downtime, you save that hassle, you save getting up in the middle of the night. And I think what we'll start to see is we'll start to see the algorithms not only predict failure really very accurately, because now they have good, reliable data all the time, but we'll see the algorithms constantly learn about failure. So we'll start to see better models of prediction develop. Foghorn Systems, you mentioned that in my background. Foghorn was a very early edge processing company based in Silicon Valley, and spent a lot of time looking at what we called waterfall data that you don't need to retain. It's just data about that instance of performance of an asset or a machine, and analyzing that data on the edge and then doing something with that data to better control the machine. And that's a really fascinating development, because you have the data from the machine, you're learning about that data, the AI is interpreting that data, it's reasoning, if you like, based on its historical knowledge of performance, and then it's maybe enacting a new type of control. And that's where I think this subject gets really fascinating. And by the way, if we then translate that across to the personal, the private realm, it's the same thing that's going to happen. I mean, one of the greatest examples that's now quite a few years old is the Nest thermostat. 10 years ago, my house was either on or off. Now my house knows what I like, knows whether I'm at home or not, knows what my temperature preference is at 8 a.m. as opposed to 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. It's learned my preferences, and now it interprets the situation around it, the weather, the humidity, whether I'm home or not, and adjusts what it does on the basis of knowing historically what I like and expecting me to like what it does with its control of my major asset, my heating system. So we'll just see that get better. I think the last speaker was saying, AI is at an infant stage. So we might see it go into quite a disruptive teenage stage, but as it matures and becomes more sophisticated, I think we'll see some very exciting things.
Well, I have one of those Nest devices in my home too, so we've got that in common, Jason. But what about the premise that we prompted our discussion, which is, we know AI is very energy intensive, it uses a lot of water. Is the potential upside better for what we can expect? Is it offsetting the environmental impact, I mean, the results and the speed by which we can address climate change, will that be worth the additional energy consumption and which needs to come from renewable sources and water that will be required as we move from that infancy stage in AI to a more sophisticated time period?
Well, it's a great question. And let's stick with the metaphor. I mean, if you ask your infants to paint pictures, they use a lot of brushes and a lot of paint and a lot of paper, and the results aren't good. But you have a talented teenager who starts to pick up techniques, starts to understand, starts to produce a really good output. And I think we're starting to see that. In fact, you can look at AI, you can Google AI artworks, and you can see that most of them are terrible. Terrible in the sense that a human looking at them that has a very strong appreciation of art and aesthetics and the history of art and the balance of color and, replicating form but introducing an artistic element to that. AI doesn't do that well. But saying that, every now and again, it produces a masterpiece in a way that maybe a human wouldn't. And I think that's where the fascination is. But yes, definitely, I'm kind of distinguishing between the high end of AI, if you like, real reasoning, real interpretation that we've not seen before. And I think that's still to come. Most of what we consider AI right now is a sophisticated machine learning, and then sophisticated analysis on top of that, understanding of history. So my first point would be AI gets better when the data sources get better, when there's more of them, they're more stable, they're more reliable, and analysis can take better. More analysis can take better. More analysis can take better, can go in a better way, can be developed in a better way. The algorithms will learn from themselves eventually. And I think then it will become really interesting. What it means for things like, for sustainability outcomes, I think is really powerful. I think we're already seeing AI algorithms applied to the control of energy usage. And we have to see that, right? Because we're seeing the use of renewable sources come in and be part of the mix. So you're having to decide when to use stuff when it's available. You're having to decide what goes into storage as opposed to what's immediately consumed. We didn't used to do that. We just used to consume it. It was as if it was always there. But now there's multiple sources in the background that are changing. And then there's multiple new types of use. And you could say, yes, are we seeing AI soak up a lot of power as its algorithms are applied? But yes, logically, as those algorithms get better and more efficient, they will be able to guide us to the most efficient power use. And I think that's a tremendous application. Just that one on its own will begin to reduce power consumption. So we'll do the same stuff, or we'll do better stuff, but we'll do it with less power. Verizon is starting to use that kind of technology to decide on the optimum layout of our network so we can have the most efficient and effective network that uses the least amount of power. And I think we'll see a tremendous amount of that type of interrogation of existing practice over the next few years. So yes, that is exciting, definitely.
It's a wonderful note of optimism to leave us with, Jason. Thank you for jumping on today and telling us a little bit more about the work that you have underway, and look forward to seeing those developments really take wing and talking with you again in the future. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right. Thank you, Marcia and Jason, for that refreshing fireside chat. I enjoyed hearing particularly about what Jason calls the disruptive teenager phase of AI that we're headed into. Absolutely true. AI can be moody and unpredictable. Now, before we move on, I wanted to flag that there is another great video by Project Everyone. Some of you will have seen that earlier, this time featuring Al Pacino. And this is in the SDG Video Pavilion.